Not any single other lady in the world did it. I don't know how she did it. So she's very brave, very strong, very elegant. Her name is Cathy O'Dowd. She spoke in 44 countries, so she's a traveler as well. Dear Cathy, good evening. Hidden Hero is welcoming you.
I'm delighted to be with you.
Thank you so much. Tell me, please, how are you that brave? Why you climbed Everest from both sides? Why you were not afraid? I know something happened with you, something terrible during your climbing. So tell me, please, about that journey.
Well, that's a lot. Let's start with bravery. I don't think of it as being brave. I think of it as being well prepared. People like myself are almost never taking ridiculous risks. We're not trying to generate an adrenaline rush. We're not playing some version of Russian roulette and gambling on our lives. We've almost always put a lot of time into gaining experience, training, safety knowledge, physical and mental ability. And then we're putting that together in a carefully assessed and thought out attempt at doing something. So it's not about being brave, it's about being well prepared and self-confident. And now those are things that are accessible to people. You just need to work your way towards them. The mountain itself—
That is true. Yeah, about climbing Everest from two sides. As I understood, a lot of people in your interviews that you said that one time 600 people, CEOs, the owners of the companies, they did it for the bravery and for spirit of the team. But why you did it one and only in the world from both sides?
Well, okay, let's clear up a few things. I did it 25 years ago when the far, far fewer people did it. This thing about the huge queues with hundreds of people has only happened in the last maybe 10 years. I like climbing mountains. I didn't want to climb Everest. That was never the intention. I simply was looking for an opportunity to climb in the Himalaya. And because I come from South Africa, it was very difficult to find any teams going to the Himalaya. So I was invited to join the first Everest expedition from South Africa, which is my home country. So I didn't go because it was Everest. I went because it was my only opportunity. And I think sometimes people are too obsessed with having a particular dream and then finding it very difficult to make it happen. I've always been more interested in pursuing the things I enjoy and then looking for interesting opportunities. And I take them whether or not I know exactly what's going to happen. So it wasn't about Everest, it was simply about it's an expedition to the Himalaya. And although it was a very, very complicated expedition, I got to the top against everyone's expectations. And of course, as soon as I'd achieved that, a whole new set of opportunities opened up that I could never have predicted. So it was about simply following that chance and then being flexible and creative about taking advantage of the new opportunities that then opened up. And one of them eventually was an opportunity to go back to Everest from the other side. And not because it was Everest, but again, because I wanted more experience, there was sponsorship available, and they wanted to sponsor Everest. So it's being pragmatic. What is your dream? Where is the money? And, oh yes, this is the cat.
This is the cat, this is the queen. This is the Queen Cleopatra. She's amazing. She's climbing Cathy. Cathy is climbing Everest from both sides, but this beauty is climbing Cathy. So she's the queen.
This cat is the yin and the yang. I do all the exercise and she sleeps on the sofa. And that way we keep the balance in life.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell me, please, what was the biggest challenge for you, Cathy? You did it when nobody did it, so people didn't have that much experience as now. Now it's not that unusual, but that time when you did it, nobody did it before. So what was for you, for a lady, for a young lady, the biggest challenge?
Well, I would say that we're never doing something, we're always building on what people have done before. Even if we manage to do something that's unique in the moment, it's because other people have done things that lead us in that direction. So there were people who'd gone before me and I was able to learn from what they'd done. But honestly, I think as a young woman, the most important thing was being comfortable with being confident and being ambitious. I do think young women are sometimes socialized not to push ourselves forward, to be demure, to be proper, and certainly not to boast about ourselves. And that can be counterproductive. If you are a person who has ambition and talent and vision and big dreams for the future, you've got to be able to step into the space and be confident in who you are and what you want. But that's a skill. It takes time and experience to develop that. And I look back at myself as a young woman and I think I should have asked for more and expected more from the world. I should have stepped out into the world more bravely. I was sometimes a little timid. I don't want to inconvenience anybody. I don't want to seem too cocky with what I'm thinking about doing. And in the end, that's all just self-defeating. The biggest thing I got from my first Everest summit was realizing I was a much better climber than I'd ever thought. And I needed to be more ambitious. I needed to set goals, targets that were much higher than I'd ever imagined. Step out into the world and kind of own the possibilities.
This is very interesting and this is very intriguing. I like what you said, Cathy, that you shouldn't be very cozy and very comfortable for everybody, because you are very comfortable for everybody and everybody like you, but you forget to say what you want. What are your ambitions? What your desire? What your goal? And for women, I think it's very often to that, trying to comfort everybody, not to be uncomfortable, to be easy to deal with, because I think maybe it's the nature of the women. Like, look at your beautiful Queen Cleopatra. She's really doing what she wants. She comes here and she shows, okay, I want to eat. You guys are talking on computer and but I want to eat. So she's not shy to say what she wants. And that is beautiful about nature, and that's beautiful about animals. So I want to know, out of these adventures, because now you're doing a lot of work for making teams stronger, for making people stronger. In these pandemic times, when a lot of people lose their hope and they don't know what to do and they are confused, what you can recommend them as a person who overcome these difficulties?
Well, in some ways, I feel that this pandemic experience really does resemble expeditions. We've come to live in a time where everything happens faster and faster. And we have a feeling that if we want something, we want to achieve it quickly. If we want to change our life, we want to change it quickly. We jump on a plane, we borrow money, we grab for things fast. And then the pandemic comes. And the pandemic is not going to be over quickly. The pandemic has turned out to be about days and weeks and months, and now we're going into years. And I think we may have some years ahead of us still before life is ever completely as it was before. And this feels like being on an expedition where you have an objective, but it's feeling very, very far away. And you just have to keep plodding. Every step you take is only, like 20 centimeters each step. But if you keep putting on enough of them as the days and the weeks go by, you end up having covered hundreds of kilometers or climbed thousands of meters. But you do it by doing it with 20 centimeter steps, one after another after another. So there's a certain level of just straight discipline that we have to bring to this experience. There's no shortcut. We can't accelerate our way out of this. Then the next thing, I think, is to take that slow time that we have to spend with this experience and make sure you're getting the best of it. So it's about staying focused on what we want to achieve during this time and what we want to do afterwards. It's about staying disciplined, about doing the learning or the study, whatever it is, to be where we want to be once this time is over. If you're stuck at home, this is the time to learn something, to build skills, to try something you weren't able to try before because you were too busy. Don't let that time just disappear into TV and sitting on the sofa. This is the time to prepare ourselves for what comes in the future. And I think the third thing, is important to find what enjoyment you can in it. And some people have a much tougher experience than others. I know that. I haven't been able to travel for many months, but I've found so much close to home that I'd never noticed. Small things, just like the flowers growing around the house in the springtime, to the amount of mountain adventures, which are actually quite close to where I live. I don't have to fly to the Himalaya to do an expedition. So it's about taking this time to discover things I'd overlooked before because I was too busy.
This is wonderful. This sounds very easy to enjoy with what we have to look at small things and try, but it's really sometimes very, very challenging. I want to ask you about these expeditions on Everest. When I looked at the photos, it looked really very tiring, that you have to go, as you say, step by step, and sometimes you might lose your motivation. You will think, okay, how do you know that you will reach this peak? So now I want to ask you, because it reminds really, when you go up, how you know that you will have enough power to reach this peak? Maybe you will just end up and say, as we say in Arabic, khalas, I cannot go anymore. I don't have any power. How do you make sure that you will reach this peak?
You don't. You may not reach the peak. I think that's really important. There's no guarantee. If it's 100% guaranteed, then it's not very difficult, whatever it is that you're trying. If you're trying something that's genuinely difficult, it may not work. That's why it's difficult. But it's also important. It's not even that it might be too difficult for you. It might become too dangerous. Things change. The storm comes in, the wind begins to howl, the clouds come down, somebody in the team gets sick, somebody gets injured. You have to change the plan. That's okay. But that does take a certain mindset. You can't go saying, it's only worth it if I get to the top and anything else is a failure and I'll beat myself up if I don't manage it. And no, that's the wrong way to look at it. It's an experience. You go because by trying to do this, you will learn something, you will experience something. And even if you don't get to the top, you will come away with new knowledge, new experience, new confidence. And sometimes knowing when to stop, looking at these conditions and saying, this is too dangerous. Now is the time to turn to our emergency plan, pull the team together and safely come back down from the mountain. It can be empowering to have done that, to know that you can face a crisis and you can exit from it safely. So even if the newspaper calls it a failure, for you, it may be a success to say, I saw the danger and I avoided it. And I think
what do you think, Cathy, what do you think? Will you be kind of angry with the team member who is sick? Because of him, you have to go down, and how you keep your emotions okay? Because imagine you were planning this for 1 year, you were preparing, and then somebody just go up and he will say, okay, guys, I'm tired. I have had high pressure or something. Let's go down. How to keep the mood of the spirit good? Maybe somebody does not agree with you to go down.
Okay, obviously there are a lot of different scenarios. Bottom line is, what if it was you who was injured or ill? You would want your teammates to try and help you. So you are giving what you hope to get. What kind of person do you want to be? Then in many cases, it is possible to have both. If one member of the team is injured, it should be possible to get them safely down the mountain, and then the strongest members can return or continue. So it's unlikely to be completely one or the other. But the third thing is to understand you're not just there for the summit, or if you are, that's very limiting. You should be there to learn from the experience. So even if this particular mountain you fail because you had to change to save the life of one of your team members, as I said, knowing that you can do that and that a life was saved, that makes you more confident and more experienced for the next mountain. It's never just about this one day. It's also about how the actions of today carry you into the future.
So this is not about reaching the peak. It's about being a stronger team, a better person, a better personality, and not limit yourself just with the goal. You need to get the peak. You should be a good team, a good person, and to find something new in yourself. This is what I feel by climbing the mountain.
Yes, and you should understand why you're trying to climb the mountain. I promise you, standing on the summit of Everest does not solve your problems in life. It's a pile of rock and snow. It's so you can get this big goal you've been chasing and find yourself feeling very empty afterwards because it doesn't change your life. You have a few minutes of fame and then it's over. This achievement is passing into history and you still have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. It's better, I think, to take it as a journey. And you will have moments of big goals and big challenges and big successes, hopefully. And you'll have moments of failure and moments where your dreams fall apart. And it's a process. You have to live through both and find the value in continuing on. So I think people can get too goal obsessed. They can chase something immediate and spend all their money on it and lose all their friendships and lose their family because all they've done is be utterly focused on a single goal and discover it doesn't bring them happiness. It's not necessarily the right approach. You really need to think about why you're pursuing a goal and what does it mean in your life.
That is especially important that it's coming from you who reached your goal, who reached Everest from both sides. Then I think these words are more precious than anybody others. And my last question to you, Cathy, what is your personal biggest achievement and biggest failure? What do you think?
I think my biggest achievement is to have taken a life that started in South Africa, in Johannesburg, which is a big city on a flat grass plain with no mountains and a family who, didn't do any of these things and have managed to build a life where I changed continents, I moved to a new country, I found sponsors, I found a career that lets me only work half the time and spend the other half climbing. I learned to climb and ski and all sorts of other skill sets. None of this was available to me where I started. So I'm proud of myself. And I've done most of this alone. I haven't done it, together with a husband or something like that. I built a life that I really love, despite starting at a place where none of this was available to me. Much of it, I didn't even know about it until I started looking. So looking back at that, I think sort of me at age 14 maybe would be astonished at the life I'm able to live now, all these years later. So that's the success I think that I'm really proud of. The biggest failure. That one's a little harder. There are lots of small failures, lots of times where I think I didn't take full advantage. Okay, I'm going to add together a set of small failures because I think they all have had a common cause, which is that I've sometimes been half-hearted about things. Some opportunities I've done well with, but I also know there are opportunities that slipped through my fingers because I just felt tired or lacked confidence or didn't put in as much effort as I should have, and they sort of slipped away from me. And I've done it more than once, so I recognize it's a little bit of a character flaw. And I regret some of the things that have slipped through my fingers over the years.
That is, very true and honest talk, Cathy. I like very much, as you said, that you are from South Africa, and some people really, they don't have that freedom of mind, what you have. And I'm surprised with the talking by you that you're a very free person. and you don't have any borders. That's why I think you climbed Everest from both sides, to show the world, to show yourself that you can. And that is big success, to live the life you want. I think this is sometimes very rich people, they don't have that luxury to live the life they want, and you have that, and that is really a great achievement. And this is a great way to show the women that that is possible. This is very important, to know that there is people like you exist. And your biggest failure, as you put it, that you didn't use all your opportunities. In Russia, we say whatever God is doing is for the better. And sometimes you think that you lost some opportunity, it will be unique, but maybe it's for the better. Maybe you will have a new chance, it will be better. Maybe the place you didn't go, you didn't meet somebody whom you shouldn't meet, That's why let's say that it is for the better. And I enjoyed very much talking to you. I think I got a very big spirit of inspiration. I'm not sure, is it from you, Cathy, or from Cleopatra? But I think you are together a great team that really, support each other, and you made this interview very special. My last question, what is your dream for now?
Like everyone, my dreams are kind of suspended. I lost 2 expeditions because of COVID. We had to cancel them with the lockdown. And although I have some small plans, I'm not yet making big plans, because I think it's going to be quite a long time before we're fully out of this experience. So I'm working on the good side of that, which is to take this time of quiet, of having to stay close to home, and to become much more embedded in my community. Because I used to travel so much. I'd come home and my friends had forgotten who I was, or they'd never call because I was never at home. So I've taken this time to kind of deepen my local friendships, build my network of people who live close to me, explore my local mountains. Not everything has to be this big trip to another country. And to really become more deeply rooted in the place where I now hope I will spend the rest of my life. And I'm not going to do that always. Once I can travel, I will travel again. But right now, I'm actually finding that process enriching, just being better connected with my home.
That is very wonderful. And I like that sometimes the treasure is just under our knees, under our foot, and we just didn't look at that. So I wish you big success. I wish you great health to achieve all the dreams, to be better connected with your community, to find new friends, and to have the chance to meet the old friends, so that they will always remember you. Thank you so much. It was a big pleasure, big honor. And I wish you really all